to record this, and I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. And what we're going to be talking about today, if I can switch to the right screen, is finesses, repeat finesses, and alternatives to finesses. So let's have a look at what we mean. This is perhaps the example of finessing that we all learned when we started bridge. You've got the ace queen 2 in dummy and 5-4-3 in your hand, and I hope you can see that you can make two tricks here if the king of spades is on your left. And the way you'll play this, of course, is to lead low, and unless a king is played, you'll play the queen. And if the king is on your left, you'll make a trick. If it's on your right, you won't make a trick with the queen, and you just make one trick. I'm often amused, actually, when I am teaching finesses to beginners, and we've studied various forms of finesses, and then they come to play a hand where there's a finesse like this. Quite a few of them, they lead low, and then when the king isn't played, they think and think for a long time, and then they play the ace. And sometimes I ask them afterwards, oh, why did you play the ace there? And they say something like, well, it's because I want to make sure of getting the trick. So, but of course, the way to give yourself the chance of making two tricks is to play the queen here. Okay, I hope there's no questions on that. That's one of the simpler examples of finesses. Here's another possible finessing situation where you've got the queen in one hand and the ace in the other. And I'm actually going to launch a poll on this to give you different ways of playing this suit. Let's suppose you decide to play this suit yourself. Let's suppose it's no trump. And I'm going to give you different ways of playing the suit, and I'd like you to pick what you think is the right option. So the three options I'm going to launch in a minute is either to lead the queen from dummy, to lead the 4 of spades towards the queen of spades in dummy, or to cash the ace of spades and then lead the 4 of spades towards the queen. So I'm going to launch that poll now and pick what you think is the best option. Shows up in the... Let's wait for that to come up. And this was an interesting reply from my point of view. 28% of you said to lead the queen, 64% said lead the 4 towards the queen, and 8% said cash the ace and then lead the 4 towards the queen. So the majority have gone for leading the 4 towards the queen, but quite a lot of you said you should lead the queen. Well, let's go back to this slideshow, and those of you who said lead the queen are wrong. This is the wrong way to play this suit combination against opponents who know what they are doing. If you lead the queen, you should only ever make one trick here. As long as the only way you can make two tricks here is if you lead the queen and the opponent who has the king does not play it. Now, that is a mistake. So if the opponent on your right, for example, has the king, they may decide not to play it, but that is a mistake. You should generally cover an honor with an honor if it might promote a trick for your side. And if you have the king and don't play it, you're letting the declarer make two tricks there. So against competent defenders, this is the wrong line to play, and you will only ever make one trick if the opponents know what they're doing. Probably the best way to play this is to lead towards the queen. So that's what I would recommend, that you lead the 4 of spades, planning to play the queen, unless the king appears on your left. And basically, it's another 50% chance, roughly. If the king of spades is on your left here, you will be able, whether they play it or not, you will make a trick with the queen. If it's on your right, you will probably only make one trick there. Okay, when you play the queen, you'll lose, and you'll end up with one trick. But leading the queen in this situation is really the wrong play. And if you do this, as you compete against better and better opponents, you will find it will almost never pay off. The other line I mentioned was to cash the ace of spades and then lead low towards the queen. That's virtually the same, but it's perhaps not such a good line, especially if you're in no trump, because if you cash the ace of spades, then then lead low towards the queen, and it loses to the king. The suit is now wide open. Oddly enough, if you put this suit combination into the program I've talked about, suit play, it will say you should cash the ace of spades first to give yourself the best chance of making 2 tricks. That is because when you cash the ace of spades, there's a tiny chance that the king of spades is a singleton and will drop, and then you'd be able to make 2 tricks. However, in most situations like this, that won't happen, and it's probably best not to do that, because, as I said, if you cash the ace and the queen then loses to the king, you've now got nothing in the suit, and the opponent will be able to take a number of tricks, especially if it's no trump. Okay, so
Tony,
yeah.
Quick question: if the king doesn't fall on the 4 and they don't play it, you then take your queen.
Yes.
But if you don't take the queen, obviously they could have a 10 or a jack somewhere as well.
Well, of course. I mean, if this is all you've got in the suit, you leave the 4, and unless the king appears, you play the queen. Okay, it's really the only good chance to make 2 tricks. Now there are, yeah.
Why on earth would you play that suit? It's fraught with difficulty.
Yes, that's right. I mean, it's not a suit that you would go after, especially in no trump. But if you need to make an extra trick, and this is the only place, this is the only place you can make that trick, this is how you would play the suit. You're absolutely right, Ros. What you would be hoping for on this hand is that the opponents will lead this suit, especially if your opponent on the right leads this suit. It will now guarantee you 2 tricks in that suit. But if you do decide to play it, or if you have to play it at some point, then that's how you would play it. Now, there are situations where it's right to lead your honours, but those are situations where you have strong honours yourself. So here, for example, you've got the Queen, Jack, 10, 9, and now it's absolutely right to play this suit by leading. Well, you're going to lead, you can lead the Queen if you like, or you can lead a low card planning to play the 10. There's some advantage here in leading the Queen, and what you're hoping for this time is that the King is on your right. And what you're going to do is play the Queen and let it run around. If the King is on your left, it will your Queen will lose, and you'll lose 1 trick. But again, about 50% of the time, the King will be on your right, and you will trap the King. And because you've got the Jack and the 10, you won't lose any tricks. You'll make 3 tricks. So it can be right, of course, to lead your honours like the Queen here, but not if that's, not if your only honours are the Queen and the Ace. Do interrupt me if you have a question about that. Here's some other holdings. This time we're going to talk about what's called repeat finesse. So here we've got the top honours apart from the King and the Queen. And those 2 honours are divided in the 2 hands. And if you think about it, there are 4 possible divisions of interest. Either the King and the Queen could be in different hands, or they could both be in the west hand, or they could both be in the east hand. But the normal way to play this, missing 2 honours, is to aim to do 2 finesses. So what we do is we'd lead the 10, the 9, or the 8, and let it run around. If that loses, if you play the 10, 9, 8, if West plays low, you'll let it run around, and most of the time that will lose to the East hand with one of the honours there. But then, if you regain the lead in another suit, you would finesse again, lead another honour, and again, only play your ace if an honour is played. And if you play that this way, basically your chances of making 3 tricks is roughly 3/4. You can see 1/4 of the time the King and the Queen will be on your right, and you might lose 2 tricks, but the rest of the time, any of these other 3 holdings, you will only lose 1 trick by repeating the finesse. So it's roughly 75% chance. According to suitplay.com, it's actually a 76% chance. And if you've ever used suit play, what you do is you enter the suit combination. So here I've entered Ace Jack 5 3 opposite 10 9 8 2, and it's underlining the way I should play this. In other words, it's saying I should lead a card from my hand towards dummy. And on the right there, it's got the probabilities of how the cards of interest are of the king and the queen, how they might be divided, and in which situations you will make, how many tricks you will make in each case. But you'll make 3 tricks roughly 3/4 of the time. Do interrupt me if you have any questions on that. That should be something that most of you are familiar with. Another one here is where you're missing the king and the jack. And again, you're going to do a repeat finesse here. Similarly, there are 2 cards of interest and 4 possible ways that can be divided, all of them roughly equal. You can have the king and the jack in opposite hands, either one way or the other, or they might both be with west, or they might both be with east. And the way to play this combination, which I think most of you know, is you're meant to lead low, and if a low card is played from the west hand, you play the 10 or the 9. And then if that loses, you'll get back to your hand and plan to finesse again. And this time, it's even a little better than last time. If the king and the jack happen to be on your left, you can actually finesse successfully against both of them, and you will make all the tricks there. If they're both on your right, then you'll probably lose twice and only make two tricks there. So there's a roughly quarter chance that making 2 tricks, a 25% chance of making 4 tricks. Most of the time, one of the finesse will succeed and one won't, and you'll make that, and that will happen about 50% of the time. Any comments or questions on those? It's important with this one in particular that when you lead, you try to win the first trick with the 10 or the 9, not with the queen. That's a mistake generally. So win with the 10 or 9, and then that gives you the best chance to make all 4 tricks. If you don't have any questions on that, I want to switch to looking at some hands together. So let's have a look at these hands. This was a hand that was played before lockdown, and let's have a look at this. You open 1 no trump, and that gets passed out, and the opponents lead a heart, and down comes dummy, and let's stop to make a plan on this. Start by counting your top tricks. I don't have a poll on this, but can someone tell me how many top tricks you have? Top tricks you can definitely take without losing the lead.
5.
5.
Yeah, you have 5 top tricks, don't you? We've got 1 spade, 1 heart, 2 diamonds, and the ace of clubs. So to make this contract, you're going to have to develop tricks, and there are 2 possible sources of tricks, the spades and the clubs. But the spades is the better chance, because what you're going to do in spades, missing the king and the queen, is finesse twice, and most of the time you will only lose 1 trick. 1 finesse will succeed, 1 will fail, but you'd be able to make a total of 3 spades, and this is the better plan. When this hand was played, which was before lockdown, most people ended in 1 no trump, but only 2 people made it. And I suspect they saw the club situation and tried the club finesse. And although you could succeed there, it's only going to make sort of 1 extra trick, which may not be enough. It's much better to go after the spades here. So that's what we're going to do. First key thing is actually to not win that first trick. If we go back, to the opening situation, this is the kind of hand where you should be thinking about using the rule of 7, when the opponents have led a suit that you're relatively weak in, and when you may well need to lose a lead in order to establish tricks, you use the rule of 7, and that is a guideline as to how many times to duck. So here you've got 6 hearts between you and dummy. The rule of 7 would suggest, therefore, that you duck once. 7 minus 6 is 1. So let's do that. Let's let them win the first one, and let's take the next one. And then I'm going to go after the spades. And I'm going to lead a low spade, play low the jack 10 or 9 from dummy. I'm not expecting to win this one. Okay. And they win that one. But now when I gain the lead, I'm going to repeat the spade finesse. Now, on this hand, East, as it turns out, has no more hearts here, so they can't play a heart. They may well decide to play a club, and now you have to decide what to play here. And it's probably best to put your main chances on the spade here and not try the clubs. The problem with the clubs is if you try the finesse and it fails, they may cash a lot of hearts. Although actually on this hand you can make this even if you try the finesse. But the spades is probably your best chance, and you might decide to play your ace and then lead the spade again. And again you're going to play the jack or the 10 here. Here that succeeds, it seems. So what we're going to do is get back to our hand. We've still got the king of ace of diamonds, and we're going to lead another spade. Here the king pops up, so you take your ace. You can now take your jack, and probably I would just cash my king of diamonds to make sure of making the contract. You can actually still try to make a trick with the queen. So if East had the king of clubs, you could lead a low club, but on this particular layout, when you play the queen, it loses to the king. And let's just bring up the 4 hands at this stage, because now West has gained the lead and will be able to take the remaining tricks. But you'll make your 7 tricks, which, as I said, only 2 people did when this was played before lockdown. Any comments or questions on that? Okay, so that was an example of a repeat finesse. Reloading some of the pages. Let me go back to it. Yes, let's try this one. This time you open 1 no trump, your partner opens 3 no trump, and the opponents lead a diamond. And again, let's start off by counting your top tricks. How many top tricks have you got here? Just unmute yourselves and tell me what you think.
7.
I think it's 7, isn't it? 2 spades, 2 hearts, 2 diamonds, and a club. So we've got 7 top tricks, and it looks to me like there are possibilities of extra tricks, but in particular there are extra chances in clubs. And we're missing the king and the jack, and we're hoping we only lose 1 club and can make the 2 extra tricks in clubs. Hearts is another possibility, but even if the finesse succeeds, it will only provide 1 extra trick. So much better to go after clubs, and that's what we're going to do. I don't think I'm going to duck here because I've got a second stopper in diamonds. I'm just going to win this and play a low club. And remember, the right way to play this suit combination, missing the king and the jack, is to try the 10. Now on this particular layout, the 10 takes the trick. So looks like you're going to be lucky. Can't be sure, but it looks like you're going to be lucky, and maybe the king and jack are both with the West hand. So what we're going to do is come back to our hand, which I think we can safely do with a spade, and play another club. This time the jack appears, we take the queen, and actually when East follows, we now know all about the clubs, because 8 clubs have gone, and we've got 9, 10, 11, 12, so there's just 1 club out, and it's the king, so there's no more finessing. We can just play the ace, take the king, and we can make our last club too. Now, we've still got stoppers in the other suit, so we may as well try the heart finesse. It can't cost us a trick. So we can either on this hand lead the jack or lead a low one planning to play the 10. And again, there's a 50-50 chance here that we'll make a trick here. If we're lucky, as we were on this one, the 10 actually makes a trick. And so we're going to make an extra trick there as well. We can now maybe take our king of diamonds, cross back to the king of spades. It's always good strategy to do this in, especially in a no trump contract, to sort of put the lead back in your hand at the end and lead so the opponents don't know what you're going to lead from. So the opponents might have led something, might have thrown away something that might help you. But on this occasion, they take the last 2 spades, but you make your 11 tricks there by trying first the club finesse, and also the heart finesse happens to work this time. Again, when this hand was played, very few people made the most of it. Very few people made 11 tricks. Most made game, but they didn't make the most to get a good score. Do inform me if you have a question about that. Let's try this one. And here we've got a hand where you open 1 no trump. Your partner bids 4 no trump. Now that is not Blackwood. That is inviting game. It's some hand with something like 20 points. And you could pass with the minimum, but here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 14 points, your maximum. So you accept the invitation and bid 6 no trump. And the opponents lead the jack of hearts. And what I'd like you to do on your own here is make a plan. Start by counting your top tricks, then look at opportunities for more. And when you've made a plan, I'm going to launch a poll. And the poll is going to say, what are you going to play from dummy at trick 1? Are you going to play the ace or the 8? So let me give you a minute or two to make a plan. And then I'm going to ask you what you're going to play at trick 1. Here, 80% have gone for the 8 and 20% went for the ace. So let's go back to the hand and try and figure out what's right. And as is usual the case, especially in no trump contract, the key to this hand is to count your tricks. How many top tricks have you got
1,
here?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
That's not right.
Oh.
11.
11.
I think we got 3. I think, yeah, we got 3 spades. We got 11. We've got 3 spades, 1 heart off the top, 5 diamonds, and 2 clubs. That comes to 11. Okay?
Yeah.
And this lead has actually given us a cast iron opportunity to make 12 tricks. And all we need to do is play low from dummy, and we will now make a trick with the queen. So the way to guarantee your contract here is to play low from dummy. You need 1 more trick, and it's going to be the queen of hearts. There are other possibilities, of course. You might make a spade, you might make a trick with the jack of clubs, but the cast iron way to make this is to play low here. The worst that will happen is the king appears, but now your queen is established. So now if they play back a heart, you can now take your diamonds. You can claim at any point here, but I would play it out for a while so there's no confusion. And then at some point cash your queen, and then you can claim because you've got 3 top spades.
Tony,
So yeah.
what would have happened if the king hadn't come out that time?
Then we would want a trick with the queen, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So whether the king is played or not, you have a cast iron way to make 12 tricks there. Okay.
If you were in defence, why would you have played the king?
Well, that's an interesting question. Do you think, so when your partner leads the jack of hearts, do you think he should play the king? My answer is I think they should, because they know when their partner leads the jack of hearts, they know that declarer has the queen. They know their partner does not have the queen because they led top of a sequence. So they pretty much know they're only going to make one trick. So you may as well take your king. I mean, you can play low and hope to make the king later, but there's a chance if you play low that you may never get your king. Maybe declarer will make 13 tricks, right? Maybe they've got 13. So I would play the king. Definitely it would be right for the defense to play the king. And, you know, and as it turns out, that's the only trick you can make.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions on that? I've got one more here. Again, there's a poll on this one. And here the bidding was the same as last time. But this time they led the 10 of hearts. And again, I'd like you to make a plan as to how you're going to play this. And then I'm going to ask you a poll question, which is what you're going to play at trick 1. So count your top tricks, and in a moment I'll launch the third and final poll, which is what do you play from dummy. Results with you. And 19% went for the 2 of hearts, and the rest of you went for the ace or the king. Okay, so the majority have gone for winning this trick with the ace or king. Let's have a look at it, and we're going to start by counting our top tricks. How many top tricks have you got here?
1, 2, 4, 3.
10.
Yeah,
10.
you have 10 top tricks. You have 3 spades, 2 hearts, 5 diamonds, and 0 clubs. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 tricks off the top. How are you going to make 2 more tricks here?
Club.
The clubs,
Clubs,
of course, the clubs. And this time you're not going to risk any heart finesse, because you've got to to make your contract, you've got to play the clubs. So yes, most of you correct on this one. You must play the ace or the king. Okay, either answer is equally good here, doesn't matter. And then to make your contract, you're going to go after the clubs. Force out the ace of clubs. Okay, at some point they'll play it, but it establishes 2 clubs for you. So whatever they play back, you'll be able to take your clubs, and then you'll be able to cash all your other winners. Your diamonds, you've got a heart and 2 spades at the end. And so you should make 12 tricks without any difficulty there, just by establishing the clubs. When this hand was played, again before lockdown, the majority of people did not make 12 tricks. And you can see if you risk the heart finesse, in other words, if you play low from dummy, hoping to win a trick with the jack, it doesn't win a trick because the queen will win. And now you'll lose a heart as well as a club, and you'll go down. Even if the finesse succeeded, even if you were able to make an 11th trick with the jack, it would not lead to any extra tricks, because you've still got to go after the clubs, and you're still going to lose a trick to the ace there. So playing low from dummy is a completely needless risk. It's something that can't possibly gain you anything, and it's just putting your contract in jeopardy. So, you know, I think these 2 examples are prime examples of the importance of counting your top tricks, making a plan. They're similar looking hands, but they need to be played, this hand and the last hand, in quite different ways. All right. Any comments or questions on that?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I haven't really thought this through, but isn't it possible to ditch the clubs on the diamonds and then not touch the clubs at all?
Well, let's see. We've got 5 diamonds in dummy and 3 in our hand. So you could discard 2 clubs. but you would then also have to make all the other tricks. So
Yes.
you would have to make all. If you're throwing away your clubs, you'd have to make all the other tricks, like your spades, for example.
Yeah, and you might not make the spade. Yeah.
You might well only make 3 spades.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, but thank you for the question. Any other thoughts or questions? So that's it for today. We've got a game starting at 2. We'll end the talk there, except if you haven't already got a partner, unmute yourselves and let me know, or speak up if you need a partner, and we'll see who else is looking. All right. But apart from that, thank you all very much, and we'll see you online at just before 2. The game has opened up. Is there anyone on here who needs a partner, who hasn't found one yet?
Tony, I need one.
That is Jay.
Tony.
I need one as well.
And that's
Sarla.
Sala. All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Do unmute yourselves and speak up if it's you. I hear you blowing your nose, Jots.
I'm sorry, Baba.
Be careful, you know, if your microphone is on in Real Bridge, you can hear what's going on.
I shall see you in Real Bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, Sala. So Sala and Jay, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll end the talk there. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye then.
Ross, I'll
Bye.
see you later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.